lot of people missing class for illness because, the times that we live in. So this is a video for you if you missed the day that we talked about Hinduism. We started that class off with a think, pair, share activity where we talked about what's the social hierarchy of Charlottesville High School. And, people were like, oh, admins at the top and then teachers and then students. And like, maybe this kind of student is at the bottom and like, etc. And we made jokes about Peabody and it was funny. And then we said, what beliefs support and maintain that hierarchy? And we talked about the kinds of things that people think about each other here at Charlottesville High School. And then the point is that in ancient Indian society, there's a social hierarchy that's enforced by a religion, right? So when we talk about Hinduism, we're talking about South Asia, which is today referred to as India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, and Sri Lanka as well, as was pointed out in class. So Hinduism is a world religion that is popular in that region specifically. And we talked about how there was an early agricultural civilization called the Indus Valley Civilization or Harappan Civilization in the Indus River Valley, and how it sort of faded out around 1750 BCE, and a group of people called the Aryans migrated into India, and when they did that, it marked the beginning of Hinduism. Hinduism started to evolve out of that. There's no founder of Hinduism. It just was a belief system that gradually evolved, and I'm having a hard time. There we go. So then I went into the major beliefs of Hinduism. So first is that there's a soul for the entire world called Brahman, and that soul is in everything and every person. And I compare it, because I think it's helpful, I compare it to an ocean, right? So the ocean is Brahman, and then inside of each of us is a little drop of water, which is our individual soul, which is called our Atman. And that drop of water is eternal, right? Like it's always existed before it was part of us. It was in Brahman. And so we want our soul to reunite with the world soul. And then I went into how Hinduism is very polytheistic. Hinduism is very good at assimilating other belief systems. So whenever Hinduism would spread into a part of India where there was some other god or goddess that people believed in, they would just assimilate it and they would make it part of Hinduism. So there's just tons of different Hindu deities. The three most important ones are Brahma on the left, Vishnu in the middle, and Shiva on the right. But there are many different avatars, or like the word avatar just means like different faces or different versions of these gods. Anyway, just know that it's very polytheistic. And we talked about how Indian society was broken up into varnas, which Europeans refer to as caste. And each varna or social class has its own job to do, right? And it's associated with different parts of the body. So the priest are called Brahmins, and they're associated with the head because they do all the thinking. The rulers and warriors are called Kshatriyas, and they're associated with the arms because they're fighters who use their arms to fight. The Vaisyas are the merchants and traders and farmers, so skilled labor. And then the Shudras are the workers, the unskilled laborers. And then there's outcasts at the bottom who have the worst jobs and not even in the caste system. So each part of society has its own dharma or duty that it has to perform. I don't know why it doesn't want to advance. Here we go. So another illustration of the different dharmas. Your dharma is like a sacred duty for you to perform. So like if I'm a Shudra, it's important for me religiously, spiritually, for me to be good at doing the work that I have to do, even if it's like not my favorite. And if I'm a priest, it's very important that I interpret religious texts. And if I'm a ruler, it's very important that I rule fairly, because if you do your job well, then you get karma, right? And sometimes people in the West, in America, refer to like getting good karma. But in Hinduism, karma is a real thing, and it's the sum total of all the good and bad that you do in your life, and it follows around with you, right? And doing your dharma gets you karma, right? So if you do a good job performing your duties, then you will get good karma. And then so samsara is the idea that your soul, when you die, will move into another body, a new body, right? So reincarnation. And the level that this new life will be at will be determined by how much karma you have. So the more you do your job, the more you perform your Dharma, the better your next life will be, right? So the only way that you can move up the social hierarchy is by getting good karma by doing your job. So if I'm a Shudra and I don't like being a Shudra, then I just need to work really hard at being a Shudra and do my best job so that in my next life I'll be reborn as a Vaisya. And then I want to, sell like my produce at fair prices and like do a good job, and I'll be reborn as a warrior, a Kshatriya. And then I gotta like go fight some battles, and I gotta win those battles and do my job, and then I'll be reborn as a priest. And then the whole point is to keep doing your job until you achieve enlightenment. So you want to escape the cycle of rebirth, and in Hinduism that's called moksha, where you reunite with Brahman. Your little drop of water goes back to being one with the universe. And then we have a hilarious joke that I created about Drake, because that's what I do. And then I asked students to analyze an excerpt from the Bhagavad Gita, which is a really important sacred Hindu text. And you're to annotate places where you see Hindu beliefs in the text, and then write a thesis statement. I don't think we actually did a thesis statement. Anyway, that is what we did in class when we learned about Hinduism. I hope this is helpful to you, and feel free to reach out to me with questions.